Good morning. I'm Kent Ray, CTA's General Counsel. The Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery, scheduled for 9:30 this morning, will be followed by the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget. The regular board meeting. Good morning. I'm Kent Ray, CTA's General Counsel. The Committee on February 3rd, 2023, the Office of the Secretary issued a notice of changed format of meetings of committees of strategic planning and service delivery, and finance, audit, and budget, as well as the transit board meeting scheduled for today, February 8, 2023. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there is currently in place a statewide disaster proclamation that has been renewed from month to month. Pursuant to Section 7E of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, virtual public meetings are permitted while the disaster proclamation remains in effect. Because the governor's disaster proclamation remains in effect in the state of Illinois, the meeting of February 8, 2023 are being held electronically or virtually for members of the public. At this point, we are ready to start the meeting of the Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery. Chairman Miller.
Thank you. Good morning. I would like to call to order the February 8th meeting of the Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery. Ken, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Director Ortiz?
Here.
Director Lee?
Here.
Director Jha?
Here.
Chairman Miller?
Here.
Chairman Miller, you have a quorum present with 4 members. Also present today are Chairman Barkley, Director Jakes, and Director Silva.
Thank you. Our first order of business is approval of the December 14th committee minutes. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Jha. Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Jha?
Yes.
Chairman Miller?
Yes.
The motion is approved with 4 yea votes.
Thank you. Our next order of business is a review of an ordinance authorizing agreement with the United Parcel Service and Company for the operation of bus Route 169 UPS Express. Mike Conley.
Good morning, Directors. Chairman Miller. I'm Mike Conley, your Chief Planning Officer. Staff is recommending a new 5-year contract with the United Parcel Service, or UPS, to support continued operation of the bus route number 169, the 69th Street UPS Express. UPS and CTA have agreed upon an hourly contract rate of $135.50 per hour, with a 3% increase annually for escalation during this 5-year contract. The new contract would start on February the 8th and end on February the 7th in 2028. This bus route is designed to provide transit service for workers from within the city of Chicago out to UPS jobs in the suburban industrial park in Hodgkins, Illinois. This contract is structured for UPS to pay the full hourly cost for the trips while receiving credit for the fare revenue collected on the buses used on this route in their billings each month. The result is that UPS pays the subsidy rather than having it come out of our public funding or sales tax revenue. The service is a public bus route, providing open door service at all stops. The service operates from the Red Line 69th Street station on the south side, proceeding west to Halsted and then south to 79th Street, where it turns west and operates on 79th Street. There are transfer connections at the Red Line, as well as to north-south bus routes at Wentworth, Halsted, Ashland, Western, Kedzie, Pulaski, and Cicero. The bus runs nonstop from 79th and Cicero to the UPS facility, and then make stops at both of the UPS operating terminals within the sprawling complex. After dropping off workers at their work site, the employees coming off shift are loaded onto the buses, and the route follows the same return path. The service is timed to meet all the shift change times at this busy work location. CTA consults closely with UPS as to shift times and capacity, making seasonal changes as appropriate to match the UPS workforce size. This route has a high retention of 2019 ridership, as these are essential workers who must attend their work in person and cannot work from home during the pandemic. In fact, while we are showing a system-wide retention of about 54% on our system as a whole, the ridership on this route is currently a couple of percentage points above 100% of the route's 2019 ridership. Thank you for listening. I would be glad to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mike, and I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you for the information.
Do any of the directors have questions concerning this ordinance? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Ja. Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Chairman Miller?
Yes.
The motion has passed with 4 yea votes.
Okay. May I have a motion? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the omnibus and recommend it for board approval?
We're moving it to the omnibus now first. I'm sorry.
Okay, that with that
Our
motion.
motion to move this to the omnibus?
So moved.
Second? Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Right. Now a motion to approve the omnibus. Is that moved?
So moved.
Second.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Since there's no further business to be conducted, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Chairman Miller?
Yes.
Meeting of the Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Director Silva, we can now begin the meeting of the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget.
Good morning.
Morning.
I would like to call to order the February 8, 2023 meeting of the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget. Ken, will you please call the roll?
Director Jakes?
Here.
Director Miller?
Here.
Director Ortiz?
Here.
Director Lee?
Here.
Director Ja?
Here.
Director Barclay?
Here.
Chairman Silva?
Here.
Chairman Silva, you have a quorum with 7 members in attendance. You may proceed to agenda item number 2.
Our first order of business is the approval of the committee minutes of January 13, 2023. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Barclay?
Yes.
Director Silva?
Yes.
The motion passes. Director Silva, you may proceed to agenda item number 3.
Our next order of business is the financial report. Jeremy Fine.
Good morning. I'm Jeremy Fine, your Chief Financial Officer, and today I'll go through results for December of 2022 as well as year-to-date numbers. With regard to December revenues, we see fair and pass totals down to budgeted estimates by about $4.1 million on both an amended and original budget basis. And this is driven primarily due to the impact of COVID, the flu season, and RSV. We see reduced fare subsidies coming in as expected. Non-fare box totals coming in better than expected by about $3.2 million for the month on both an amended and original budget basis, which leaves us for December essentially flat, but slightly down by about $900,000 for the month on both an amended and original budget basis. With regard to year-to-date revenues, we see on the next page, fare and pass totals slightly down, but essentially flat overall for the year-to-date numbers, down by about $2.4 million against the amended budget and down by about $3 million versus the original budget, but $48 million better than 2021 year-to-date numbers. Reduced fare subsidy came in as expected, and non-fare box totals coming in almost $10 million better than expected on both an amended and original budget basis. That leaves us for year-to-date numbers for total revenue, positive by about $7.4 million against the amended budget and 6.8 versus the original budget, and a little over $46 million better than 2021 year-to-date numbers. With regard to our expenses, we see positive favorability here for December on the labor line, a little over $3 million. Material came in below budgeted estimates by about 3.5 due to some end of year adjustments that we do every year with regard to obsolescence. Fuel and power came in better than expected by about $600,000 for fuel, a little over $1.5 million for power. Injuries and damages and security services either came in flat or slightly below budgeted expectations, and other expenses came in about $5 million better than budgeted expectations on both an amended and original budget basis. That leaves us for the month of December, positive variance for expenses by about $6.5 million on both an amended budget and original budget basis. And when you take into consideration the December revenues, that leaves us on a net basis about $5.6 million better than budgeted estimates on both an amended budget and original budget basis. Year to date, expenses are outlined on the next page. We see sizable positive variance on labor. We see some slight negative variance on materials. Fuel and power have been very strong performers for us throughout the year. Injuries and damages and security services either came in flat to budget or slightly better than budgeted estimates. And other expenses came in significantly better than expected on both an amended and original budget basis. That leaves us for the year with regard to our expenses, positive by about $132 million on an amended budget basis and a little over $165 million better on an original budget basis. And again, coupled with our revenues on a year-to-date basis, that leaves us a little under $140 million better on an amended budget basis and a little over $175 million better than estimated on an original budget basis. On the next page, you see our public funding numbers for the month. We see positive variance here for sales tax, which is related to October collections. We see positive variance on PTF. And unlike the last few months with regard to real estate transfer tax, we see some sizable positive variance here on the RET, which is driven by the sale of a portion of holdings by two Canadian pension funds to Atlas Arteria. With regard to the sale, that generated some RET for us, and you see that positive variance demonstrated here. PTF on RET came in slightly below budgeted expectations, and ICE funding came in either flat or slightly better, which leaves us for the month of December with regard to collections, about $15 million better on an amended budget basis and a little over $19 million better on an original budget basis. On the next page, you see how that rolls up on a year-to-date basis. We're about $46.5 million better on an amended budget basis than estimated, and a little over $117 million better on an original budget basis. On the next page, you see how all of this feeds into our draws on federal relief funding. Again, the positive variance that we see on system-generated revenues and expenses, as well as public funding, has led us to draw down less than we had originally anticipated when we were starting to receive this federal relief funding. So we've been able to draw this out longer than originally estimated. We're drawing down for the month about $8.8 million, and we're drawing against all three active grants that we have, CRISA, ARP, and ARP discretionary, so that we keep each of those grants active. This means this $8.8 million draw means that we've now drawn about 42.3% of the total allocation, which means that we have just under $1.3 billion remaining. So as part of our 2023 budget conversation, we estimated by the end of 2022, and we still have a couple more months of collections of sales tax in particular, but we estimate that we'll be on track to have about $1.2 billion remaining at the end of 2022, if not maybe a little bit more than that, based on kind of current draw rates. So again, we're on track, if not maybe slightly better than where we talked about in terms of the budget for 2023. With regard to our commodities, fuel, power, and natural gas, we're where we need to be, and we've been able to lock in at favorable rates for the near term. We do continue to look for selective opportunities across all three commodities to buy additional allocations for outer years, in particular fuel. We continue to look for selective opportunities to buy additional capacity for 2024 and 2025. But our strategy has worked very well in allowing us to lock in at very favorable rates, particularly on fuel as we continue to move forward. That concludes my report for December, and glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Chair, before you take any questions, I just want to take a minute here to really commend my finance team on the end of the year budget. As you know, we went into this year with a lot of unknowns about what was going to happen on ridership, what was going to happen with overall revenues. We certainly, were shored up by the emergency relief money that Jeremy and his team have prudently spent over the course of the year. But to end up with an overall fiscal situation that we have at the end of December, I think it's a real testament to both the financial team, but also to the rest of the team here at CTA, who's worked really hard to both increase ridership, increase revenues, while also maintaining control over expenses. And so, I'm proud to be able to have the type of financial report that we're giving you for our year-to-date work from last year. And we're obviously working very hard this year to continue on and build on the success of what we saw last year.
Yeah, great.
Congratulations. Okay, it's been okay.
I'm sorry,
Home
this is the
run
board
here.
reporter. Hello, who was speaking last?
That was Dorval Carter, the president of the Chicago Transit Authority.
So it's unbelievable, okay, with the numbers, okay? I mean, really, okay, I mean, it's a home run, okay? I mean, it seems, okay, that the whole country, okay, is doing better, okay? I mean, and jobs, okay, are increasing, okay? So the only thing, okay, is, I mean, congratulations. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Good work. No.
Are there any other questions by any of the directors?
No, I think we all appreciate the thoroughness of all of the decisions made and the insight that goes and research that goes into every decision. So thank you for being that detailed and always keeping us informed of any opportunities, but also challenges that come up. So thank you to the entire
Sorry,
team.
who was speaking?
That was Director Ortiz.
One second, I can't see anybody. I don't know who's speaking if I can't see them.
So fix that. So we'll address that between meetings. Are there any other questions or comments?
For the benefit of the court reporter, can you just announce who's speaking when you start to speak? This is Dorval Carter, the president.
Yes.
Until we can fix problems.
Ms. Kent Ray, there are no further questions. Chairman Silva, you may proceed to agenda item number 4.
Next order of business is an ordinance authorizing a co-promotional advertising trade agreement with Bank of America for the 2023 Bank of America Shamrock Shuffle, 2023 Bank of America Chicago 13.1 and 2023 Marathon. Jeremy Fine.
Thank you. And again, good morning. I'm Jeremy Fine, your Chief Financial Officer. And today I present for your consideration an ordinance that permits CTA to enter into a co-promotional trade agreement with Bank of America for 3 2023 events sponsored by the bank. These events include the Shamrock Shuffle, the Chicago Half Marathon, the 2023 Chicago Marathon, and the co-promotion trade value to Bank of America of $75,904 and has a trade value to CTA of $126,550. Bank of America will provide CTA information and their spectator guides, their participant guides, email blasts to participants, and on the event websites. This includes links to purchase fares in advance of the races through the Ventra website. They will also provide booth space to CTA at the Marathon Health and Fitness Expo and a space for the CTA Community Connections bus at the Shamrock Shuffle. In exchange, CTA will provide unsold car card space on our rail system. CTA has previously done separate co-promotion agreements around these events with Bank of America or their predecessors. Most notably, we've done a co-promotion agreement around the Chicago Marathon for 22 years. For efficiency, we have combined all three events into one co-promotional agreement. This partnership will allow CTA to reach substantial audience of runners and spectators around these events. This concludes my remarks and glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Fine concerning this co-promotional agreement?
No questions.
Question.
No further questions, Chairman Silva.
May I now have leave to place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Silva, we may proceed to agenda item number 5.
Our next order of business is an ordinance amending Ordinance 22-141, approving the fiscal years 2023-2027 capital improvement program. Jeremy?
Good morning. Again, I'm Jeremy Fine, your Chief Financial Officer. I'm also joined by Michelle Curran, the Deputy CFO, and she'll walk through the amendment to the capital program.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Michelle Kern, Deputy CFO and Comptroller. I'm here today to present an amendment to the 2023 to 2027 Capital Improvement Program, or CIP. In November 2022, the board approved the $3.5 billion CIP. We're proposing an amendment to incorporate additional known changes. First, the amendment will incorporate the recent $118.5 million FTA discretionary grant award for the All Stations Accessibility, or ASAP program. This grant provides for the modernization of the Irving Park, Belmont, and Pulaski stations on the Blue Line to make them fully ADA accessible. Second, we're proposing to repurpose $297.5 million in granted Rebuild Illinois State Transportation Bond Funds and RTA bond funds to contribute funding for the new Training and Control Center, the local match for the recent FTA discretionary grant award for ASAP, construction of the Oak Park and Ridgeland ASAP station projects on the Green Line, the e-bus program, track work on the Englewood branch of the Green Line, bus hoist at each of the 7 bus garages, and the Barry Damon and Canal Traction Power Project. Finally, the amendment realigns funding sources and timing of program funds for certain projects. The net increase in funding due to this amendment is $416 million, bringing the final 2023 to 2027 CIP to $3.9 billion. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
No questions.
Are there any questions concerning this matter?
No question.
None at this time.
No questions, Chairman Silva.
May I now have leave to place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Silva, we may now proceed to agenda item number 6.
Our next order of business is an ordinance consenting the assignment of leases at the Roosevelt, Lake, and Fullerton Rail Station. Bill Mooney.
Good morning. Bill Mooney, your Chief Infrastructure Officer. Real estate staff recommends approval of an ordinance authorizing consent to the assignment of 3 leases for Roosevelt, Lake, and Fullerton stations. CTA leases 3 retail concession spaces located at Roosevelt Station at 22 East Roosevelt Road, the Lake Station at 128 North State Street, and the Fullerton Station at 943 West Fullerton Parkway to First Equity Group Concessions, LLC. First Equity has requested CTA's consent to assign the Roosevelt lease to Topaz Foods, the Lake lease to Jasper Foods, and the Fullerton lease to HG Fullerton. The assignees are the current operators of the businesses at these 3 locations as sublessees of First Equity, and the assignments will allow CTA to contract directly with the operators of the concessions. The assignments also contain payment plans for the assignees to pay the amounts owed on the leases by First Equity and will otherwise not affect the terms of the leases. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
No question.
Question.
No questions. Chairman Silva, we may proceed to agenda item. No questions.
May I now have leave place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
Now we may proceed to agenda item number 7.
Our next order of business is an ordinance authorizing execution of right of entry agreements and payment of $18 million for utility engineering and relocation costs for the Red Line Extension Project. Bill Mooney.
Once again, Bill Mooney, your Chief Infrastructure Officer. Staff recommends approval of an ordinance authorizing the execution of right of entry agreements and payment of up to $18 million for the utility engineering and relocation costs for the Red Line Extension Project. The RLE project requires utility engineering and relocation in advance of the design build contract. RLE advanced utility work is critical for the project, and delays in utility relocation will significantly impact the successful design build contractor's risk, proposal price, and efficiency. The ordinance is intended to cover anticipated advanced utility engineering and relocation work based on the current utility complex, up to a not to exceed value of $18 million in a period of 4 years. The ordinance further authorizes the Chief Infrastructure Officer to enter into right of entry agreements with utility owners and property owners, which may require CTA to indemnify the utility owners. I'll be happy to take any questions on this item.
Any questions concerning this item?
No questions.
No question.
No questions, Chairman Silva.
May I now have leave to place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
We may now proceed to agenda item number 8, Chairman Silva.
Our next order of business is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with the DuSable Museum of Education Center for standard museum admission for authority employees. Tom McCone.
Good morning, directors. I'm Tom McCone, Chief Administrative Officer. We are proposing an agreement with the DuSable Black History Museum and Education Center, which will allow free admission to the museum for CTA employees for the next 60 days. The DuSable Museum, located in Hyde Park, is the oldest independent African-American museum in the nation. Named in honor of John Baptiste Point DuSable, the founder of Chicago, the museum celebrates Black culture and is devoted to the history of the African-American experience. The DuSable Museum is a vital community resource and a cultural icon in Chicago. This agreement is a recommendation of the CTA's Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, which promotes cultural celebrations throughout the year. The launch of this benefit corresponds with Black History Month. Once the agreement is in place, any CTA employee and one guest will be able to attend the museum free of charge to them and at a discounted rate to the CTA for the next 60 days. This benefit is also part of CTA's commitment to invest in our employees as part of the Meeting the Moment plan. I've provided feedback that benefits such as this help improve overall satisfaction and retention. We are actively pursuing opportunities with other cultural institutions in Chicago and look forward to introducing those in the near future. Thank you for consideration of this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
No question.
No question.
Questions?
No questions, Chairman.
Just to.
May I now have leave to place this item on the omnibus? Sorry.
And just to reiterate, because Tom kind of broke up there, we are pursuing similar arrangements with other museums as part of an overall diversity and inclusivity initiative that we're pursuing. So you're getting the DuSable Museum because that was the first one that was completed, and it does happen to fall during Black History Month. But we also are pursuing other opportunities to basically enter into similar arrangements for our employees.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Would you consider sporting events at some? Sporting events would
Was
be
that
a little
Mr.
bit.
Carter speaking?
No, that was actually.
Was that Mr. Carter speaking?
I'm speaking now. This is Mr. Carter speaking. The question that was asked with me came from Chairman Barkley, but the question of sporting events is, this is Dorval Carter talking right now. The question of sporting events
Okay,
is
who is speaking?
Dorval Carter.
No, I understand that, sir. I just didn't know who was speaking after Chairman Silva was speaking. Just
Me,
that little.
Dorval Carter was speaking.
Okay.
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 That's a little bit more challenging than a cultural event like this. But I think what I would say is we are pursuing all sorts of opportunities to enhance and support the cultural diversity of our agency. And where appropriate, we will obviously support that as part of the overall inclusivity program of the agency itself. So I don't want to tell you that no sporting event would ever be considered. But
it might help employee morale.
Also cognizant of the fact that there is scrutiny placed on where I spend money and how I spend money. So clearly, as we roll out other programs and create other opportunities, we'll keep the board informed of what we're doing. Certainly invite all the board members to participate in various events and activities as we move forward.
I think I want to unofficially, this is Director Ortiz speaking, support that concept always, right? On the museum side, I think the cultural aspects of supporting our institutions throughout the city is really important. But also for our employees, it's just really enhances and supports a improved quality of life for all of our team members. So on both ends, I think it is a great initiative. And I think, thinking creatively about what incentives we can use to recruit and retain personnel, I think is open for just, at least consideration, because we all know we want to attract as many people and employees as possible.
No, I agree. And obviously we're also very much focused on employee morale as a broader conversation and one that we'll be spending more dialogue with the board as we go forward. We are getting feedback from our employees. We understand where there's work that we need to do. We have put together groups to really focus on various aspects of what we need to do to basically support our employees more and provide them with programs and opportunities that are indicative of our support of what they do on a daily basis. And so you're going to see more of this sort of thing coming out in the future. Some of it will require board approval, some of it will not, but regardless, we're going to make sure that the board is kept aware of what we're doing in this area and how we're really trying to support our employees and to support the culture of diversity within the agency itself, which is very important to me and to the rest of my management team.
If I can add one more thing, this
Sure.
is Director Ortiz again. Just so the public knows, we have briefings on all of the material that is presented at the boards, and in our conversation for the briefing, there was a conversation about absenteeism and just different kinds of challenges. So maybe there are tiers. Maybe there's like a standard tier to encourage morale, and then like a second tier of like good attendance and on-time service or good service. And maybe that's where other tiers come in of different kinds of incentives that employees or team members might find more valuable.
Yes, this is Dorval Carter speaking. We are looking at various sorts of reward programs for employees that are, as you put it, incentives or recognition, maybe a better word for it, of employees who are exhibiting the behavior and the conduct that we want to obviously encourage more of at CTA. And I think, personally, I'd rather spend money on that than, spend time and money and resources on disciplining our employees who don't, meet our expectations with regards to their performance and attendance and things of that nature. And so we can encourage them in a positive way. I think that's a much more productive environment to be in. And over the years, we have lost some of these programs because of budget cuts and other things. One of the things that I've discussed with my team is reinstituting that, and Tom has been very much involved in that effort of reinstituting, employee appreciation events and starting to recognize and find ways to reward our employees who are showing the type of things that we want to encourage more of. And a portion of that will involve the board. From previous board meetings that we have certain employees attend who have, had, exemplary safety records and things like that. I want to expand that beyond just the operational safety aspect of what we do, but also recognize employees in front of the board who have perfect attendance for the entire year, or other things that we can identify them for and give them some opportunity to come down here and have some refreshments and other things on our behalf and get to meet the executive and board members in a positive way. So you're gonna see more of that. That's a focus of my meeting the moment plan, and it's a focus of what I'll be reporting out on the board in the future and what you'll be seeing in terms of the board's involvement going forward.
Are there any other questions or comments? For the benefit of the court reporter, going forward, I'll be calling on the directors individually in roll call for questions and comments so that it's clear who's speaking. And then in the event you have additional questions or comments, if you could please just identify yourself. And the court reporter, this matter is being recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to check the recording too if there are additional issues. So no further questions on item number 8, Chairman Silva.
May I now have a leave to place this item on the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Silva, we may now proceed to the contracts.
Our next order of business is the review of contract number A1, revenue generating contract for the sale of up to 100 scrap rail cars.
Director Jakes, any questions?
No questions, Ken.
Director Miller?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No question.
Director Lee?
No questions.
Director Shaw?
No questions.
Director Barkley?
No questions.
Chairman Silva?
How much do we expect to get, for the 100 scrap rail cars?
We expect to get approximately $224,000.
So 200, so is,
Sorry, $324,000 is what we anticipate getting.
and we have some other bidders, for this type of,
So we reached out to several other bidders to find out why they didn't propose. And one of the other bidders did not propose because they don't have a transporter to take the rail cars from CTA onto the to get it to their facility. Another bidder did not they didn't bid because they felt that the demand for metal is down. And the other one did not build because they said the commodity market is depressed. But we looked at what this proposer offered, and what they offered was $139 less than the price per tonnage at the time the bids were due. So we do feel that it was a good offer that we got. And because we checked to see if other bidders were interested, and we found out there really wasn't interest, that's why we decided to proceed with just the one vendor.
so you're comfortable, with the bid?
We are comfortable with it, yes.
Thank you.
Chairman Silva, we may now proceed to contract numbers B16.
Next order of business is the review of contract numbers B1 through B6 infrastructure contracts.
Director Jakes, any questions concerning these contracts?
No questions.
Director Miller?
No question.
Director Ortiz?
No question.
Director Lee?
No questions.
Director Shaw?
No questions.
Director Barkley?
No questions.
Chairman Silva?
No questions.
No further questions, I'm sorry. We may now proceed to contract numbers G1 and G2.
Our next order of business is contract number H1, a change order to a contractor for asbestos abatement.
Chairman Silva, we need to go back to G1 and G2, please.
G1. Our next order of business are contract number G1 and G2 technology contracts.
I'll go through questions. Director Jakes?
No questions.
Director Miller?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No question.
Director Lee?
No questions.
Director Shaw?
No questions.
Director Barkley?
No questions.
Chairman Silva?
No questions.
We may now proceed to contract H1.
Our next order of business is contract number H1, a change order to a contract for asbestos abatement and mold remediation services.
With respect to any questions, Director Jakes?
No questions.
Director Miller,
No question.
Ortiz,
No questions.
Director Lee,
None.
Director Ja,
Questions?
Director Barclay,
No question.
Chairman Silva.
No questions.
We may now proceed to contract J1.
The next order of business is contract number J1, a change order to a consulting services contract, develop technical specification, CTA fare box collection.
For questions concerning contract J1, Director Jakes,
No questions.
Director Miller,
No question.
Director Ortiz,
No questions.
Director Lee,
No questions.
Director Ja,
No questions.
Director Barclay,
No questions.
Chairman Silva.
No questions.
We may now, if there are no further questions, you may proceed to number 9A.
Since there are no further questions on the contracts, may I have leave to place the 11 contracts on the omnibus?
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Silva, we may proceed to number 9B.
Since there is no further business to come before the committee, may I have a motion to approve the omnibus and recommend the omnibus for board approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Director Jakes,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Barclay,
Yes.
Chairman Silva.
Yes.
The motion to approve the omnibus passes. Chairman Silva, you may proceed to committee agenda item number 10.
And finally, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn has been moved and seconded. Director Jakes,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Barclay,
Yes.
Chairman Silva.
Yes.
Chairman Silva, the committee is adjourned.
Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Chicago Transit Board for February 8th, 2023. Kent, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Director Jakes,
Present.
Director Miller,
Here.
Director Ortiz,
Here.
Director Lee,
Here.
Director Ja,
Here.
Director Silva,
Yes.
Chairman Barkley.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum with 7 members in attendance.
Thank you. Our first order of business is public comment. Kent?
Chairman, this month there are no public comments.
Thank you. I'd like to open the floor. I'm sorry. Our next order of business is the president's report. Corporal Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, good morning.
Morning.
I am pleased to begin today's Meeting the Moment Action Plan Progress Report by announcing the results of our very successful job fair that we hosted here at our headquarters on January 28th. We hosted almost 650 individuals seeking a job with CTA as either a bus operator or a bus mechanic on the day of the event. This was our most widely attended job fair in recent years, and while we still have a great deal of work to do to grow our staffing levels, I think it's appropriate to applaud the significance of this achievement. Our Human Resources Department posted an excellent video to CTA's LinkedIn page following the job fair, thanking the attendees for coming out. The video has gotten nearly 900 views. And, Mr. Chairman, with your leave, I would like to show it to you and the rest of the board now. I think you all will enjoy it.
That was great. Yeah.
It was a very good video, and I think it also gives you a sense of just how well attended and how well run the entire process was. As you could tell, we had a large number of people here for the event itself. And for the most part, it ran very smoothly. I will tell you, and I heard this from the union president, one of the things that we did run into as a challenge was I didn't have enough computers for everyone to take the test quickly. We had a line of people waiting to take their tests. You may recall, this is like what we did here is like a one-stop shop type of approach where you could get everything you need done to get processed by us at one point in time. I guess that's a good problem to have. I have so many people applying for a job. I need to get more computers. I assure you that we're already on top of that. And for future events, we will increase the capacity so that we don't face that challenge in the future. During the event itself, we actually moved people into the employee cafeteria room and let them start their application process on their phones if they had one. Then they could finish it on our computer. So we had to sort of scramble a little bit, but we tried to accommodate everyone that we could and really tried to prevent as much as possible people leaving without having done everything they needed to do to be considered for a job at CTA. I think it's also important to recognize the fact that this type of undertaking, it requires a significant amount of effort, a significant amount of team effort that has been going on over the past several months. And I personally have been very impressed with the hard work of all the departments participating in this ongoing hiring recruitment campaign. Of course, these job fairs are primarily facilitated by my human resources staff under the leadership of my Chief Administrative Officer, Tom Cohn. But many people may not realize that the events also require significant assistance and input and participation from leadership, management, and staff from many other departments, such as bus operations, bus maintenance, technology, training and workforce development, communication, diversities, security, and others, all of whom work very hard to guarantee that the events are both productive and worthwhile for the job seekers here at CTA. I also want to make a special mention of the managers in our bus operations and bus maintenance departments. These individuals have particularly difficult jobs right now, and yet they are involved with every step of the process of bringing aboard these new employees. From the very beginning, working closely with other departments during the job fairs, to scheduling and overseeing these individuals once they officially join the CTA family of employees and begin serving our customers. I also want to make mention of the union leadership who have participated in these events, have spoken at our events, and have attended all of our events as we continue to build our workforce. And we're seeing the results from our ongoing recruitment campaign. In the month of January, CTA has received more than 1,000 job applications for the position of bus operator alone. While these numbers and our ongoing hiring successes are encouraging, they are also a reminder to all of us that we must continue to focus on the task at hand and double down on our efforts wherever possible. We still have a ways to go. I believe that our continued progress portends for good things to come, and I will continue to keep the board informed on that progress as we move forward. Our customers can track our progress across various initiatives throughout the Meeting the Moment scorecard, which continues to expand and improve over time and has proven to be a useful and effective tracking tool both internally and for our customers. Today, we are happy to unveil a new, fully interactive version of this resource. We plan to unveil a webpage where scorecard viewers can now drill down more effectively into both our improvements and into areas where we still have room to grow and improve. They can also follow service trends in detail by bus route and by rail line, monitor our accomplishments, and keep their eyes on key metrics like bus and rail ridership, rail headways, hiring, and new security measures. The summary page also includes new goals for 2023, such as hiring 700 bus operators by the end of the year. Most important, however, is that this update makes this information easier to navigate and enhances a key feature of our already very transparent improvement efforts. Fundamentally, this scorecard is about tracking and evaluation of the steps we are taking as part of our action plan. I look forward to further improvements and updates in the coming months that will allow our customers to even more closely follow what we're doing. The primary initiative tracked in the scorecard is our CTA service optimization, which, at a high level, is an effort to right-size the schedule service to align with current operator workforce. While I recognize that the board and our staff fully understand what we mean by service optimization, it is important to me that everyone who is watching these proceedings understands what we are discussing. Service optimization, whether on the bus or rail service, involves a balanced and effective deployment of our vehicles based on currently available workforce. Our optimization efforts result in bus and rail service that takes into account the number of operators we have today, our scheduled service, and the available data and metrics we gather, review, and analyze, all to ensure that we are deploying services in a way that allows our customers to more reliably and confidently plan their transit trips. Additionally, service optimization helps to improve bus and tracker accuracy, including reducing the number of ghost buses on our trains. As you may recall, when I discussed the problem with ghost buses and ghost trains, it has been tied to scheduled service that was not actually operating. So the closer I get to actually having the schedule reflect the actual service, the fewer opportunities there are for buses or trains to appear on the system that would suggest that they are there when they really are not. Building on the success of rail service optimization launched in the fall of 22, on January 8th, we implemented a new bus schedule optimization initiative that changed schedules on nearly half of our bus routes with an eye towards improved, more reliable bus service for our customers. We know these schedule adjustments are working in providing more accurate information and reliable service to our riders. For example, we have seen significant improvement in service delivery along some of our most well-traveled bus routes, including the J14 Jeffrey Jump, which is now delivering 92% of its scheduled service in January compared to 81% in December. The number 66 Chicago route service delivery improved from 82 to 90%. The number 79 79th Street route improved from 84% to 94%. And the number 53 Pulaski route improved from 85% to 93%. While we have seen successes along other routes as well, service on these busy routes is matching the schedules better after optimization that are directly attributable to the more thoughtful way we're putting buses onto the street. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that just because I'm saying that we're providing, more improved service delivery does not mean that every customer is having a perfect day on CTA. There are still challenges that occur as our service is out on the street. There are street closures, there are reroutes, there are incidents that occur that require the bus to stop or be delayed in some way. Those are much more difficult to manage over the course of the day, and we continue to work hard to improve in those areas as well. But the first step to being able to do any of that starts with getting service on the street. And the higher the percentage is of service that I can put out, the better the chances are that the customer's experience will be more reliable than it has been in the past, which is our ultimate goal. While our optimization service efforts have also been successful in many areas, we continue to work through some other challenges, particularly on service on the Blue Line. I'm sure that many of you have heard that we've been experiencing longer than scheduled run times that are due in large part to the impact of areas where trains must travel more slowly, which are called slow zones, which exist primarily along the Congress branch between Forest Park and UIC Halstead. These slow zones are a necessary aspect of our service and that are a result of the track conditions in the area and are required in order to make sure that we continue to operate that service in a safe manner. Slower trains, on top of our workforce shortage, have certainly contributed to service delivery issues that are seen most acutely during the morning rush hour headed downtown on the O'Hara branch of the Blue Line. This area of the city has seen significant development, and that is evident in our strong ridership and demand for service at peak hours. I should also point out that this was a problem that we were experiencing even in the pre-pandemic era, but it certainly has been exacerbated even more because of the challenges that we're facing right now. In response to this problem, CTA has brought a significant level of targeted staff and resources to the issue, and we've dedicated and continue to dedicate a great deal of time and attention addressing these issues as we move forward. Last week, we implemented several new measures to improve the service delivery, including adding additional trains to the Blue Line during morning peak service, dispatching CTA staff to live monitor rush hour service and dispatch the additional trains at targeted times and locations, enabling us to more nimbly respond to unplanned service issues. We've designed specific customer communications to keep our riders informed in real time about what is happening and what we are doing to address the problem. We've implemented a new schedule adjustment to further improve the reliability of the service that we are providing. And we're planning for a new schedule in March of 2023 as part of the PIC that will help further improve the reliability and stabilize the service on our Blue Line route. Many of the techniques that we are using are techniques that we actually have found helpful to us when we hold special events. And I think it's important to point out that this is a slightly different issue than the interval issue that I usually talk about. What's happening here is a platform crowding issue. And so the trains are arriving, but the trains are packed. That requires a slightly different strategy than just adjusting intervals, because there's a limit to how much service I can run at any point in time on any particular portion of the Blue Line. And so what we do and what we have done are things that we would do for like a Cubs game or for, heaven forbid, the Bears ever won the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl game. When we know we're going to have crowded platforms, we increase communication to those stations that are having those problems. We monitor that information, that station crowded very closely, and we bring in extra trains that are basically intended, for lack of a better word, to sweep the platform out. And that's what we're doing here. It's a little bit more complicated than I just explained, because we're talking about trying to do this in the middle of a line that has other restrictions that are around it in terms of service. But I can tell you that every morning we are watching what's going on those platforms. That includes me. I am watching it also, and we are reacting and responding to it in real time. But also, just as importantly, we are communicating, because I believe that what my customers want to know is that, one, we're aware that there's a problem, and two, that we're doing things to try to address it. That requires something more than just canned statements that we would usually use. It requires a person talking to people, a live person telling you, hey, we saw that we just left you on the platform. You need to know that there's another train that's 2 stops away that will be coming there that will have capacity to take you, or whatever else it is that we need to tell them. The point being is that what I've instructed my team to get away from is just taking a standardized approach to the problem. I'm sure you have noticed, I have noticed, that when you're waiting, for example, at an airport, at a gate for your plane to take off, the thing you find most important at that point in time is what the gate agent is telling you is going on. And they talk to you. You don't hear a canned message telling you that your plane will be arriving shortly. Please stand by. They tell you our plane's been delayed, or it's getting ready to land, and we're going to turn it around quickly, so on and so forth. I'm trying to take that same approach with what we're dealing with here. And what I'm hopeful for is that if we are successful in how we do this from a communication standpoint in this one instance, we'll be able to start to replicate it for other things that happen on our system that we need to let our customers know what's going on. I think it's great that we have template announcements that we can make. It allows us to very quickly say something to our customers about what we're doing. But I also don't want us to become overly reliant on technology to talk to our customers. Our customers are people. They want to hear from people. And when they hear from us, then the other benefit is they believe that we know something is going on and we're trying to deal with it. So the frustration that you have as a customer that your service is completely messed up and does anybody care at CTA, at least you know someone cares. Whether I can fix it quickly or not depends on the circumstances that we're dealing with. But I've got a ton of people who are working hard every day to try to get that service out and are trying to correct it on a daily basis. But we're going to continue working at this no matter what. It's important that we improve our service reliability, but it's also just as important that we're communicating to our customers what is happening and what they can do about it. And to the extent that I believe we give our customers more information, then they can make good choices and decisions about what they want to do. And ultimately, I think that's all our customers are asking. There's nothing more frustrating than getting to a platform, finding it's crowded, and knowing that you got to wait 3 or 4 trains before you can get on, when you could have made other decisions if you had known about that beforehand. So you're going to see more of that coming out. You're going to see us trying to do some things we've never done before. You're going to see us leveraging our technology and turning it outward so that our customers can see it and that they will know, just like we know, what's going on in our system and how we're going to better address it as we move forward. Finally, I would like to close with yet another way that we're trying to make CTA employment attractive to both our current and prospective employees, with a new benefit that has been conceived by working in cooperation with our sister service boards at Metro and PACE. And I'm highlighting this because there's a lot of criticism that we receive, not just CTA, but also Metro and PACE, about the lack of cooperation and coordination and collaboration. And I personally don't believe that's true, but I also know that we need to do more to show that we are collaborative and that we do want to work together. You're going to hear more things that we're doing in that regard, beyond the stuff that you've already heard about, like what we've done with fairs and things of that nature. But in this case, we want to do something for our employees. As you know, CTA employees have always been able to ride on CTA and on PACE. But now, effective on last Wednesday, CTA employees will now be able to ride free on Metro trains. All they have to do is show their CTA employee ID card to conductors once they are aboard the train. This benefit is not only for the CTA employees. As part of this agreement, PACE employees will ride free on Metro, and Metro employees can now ride free on CTA and PACE. It is the type of added value for employees that can ease the cost of travel and commuting for our employees, while also providing yet another benefit to new applicants who consider seeking employment at any of the three service boards. So, Director Ortiz, to the conversation we were having earlier, this is yet another initiative that we have rolled out that we believe will be a recruiting tool for us as we continue to convince people to come work for us here at CTA. So as you can tell, there's a lot that is going on. There is still a lot more that I need to do. We are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, and we continue to deal with the daily challenges that any transit system faces as we continue to dig our way out of the impact of this pandemic. But I am pleased with the progress that we're making. We're going to continue to work harder to improve upon what we've already done. We certainly continue to welcome any input from the board and our stakeholders on ways that we can improve it even further. With that, that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, President Carter, for the update. I want to congratulate you and your team on a successful hiring event last month. Just the video speaks volumes of the effort that went into coordinating that. I'm really encouraged by the excellent turnout of applicants and look forward to it resulting in hiring bus operators and mechanics. I'm also glad to see the additional adjustments made to the Blue Line service to address overcrowding issues, as well as making the interactive scorecard available to our customers. As I mentioned before, transparency and communication with our customers are key in this process, and I applaud you and your team for taking that into consideration on these updates. At this point, I'd like to open. At this point, I'd like to open it up to any other board members who might have comments in response to President Carter's report.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dorval Carter. I forgot to tell you the most important part of the efforts on the Blue Line. We have seen improvement in the overcrowding situation. We are still have times when customers are able to get on our trains, but it is not nearly as dramatic or as much of an issue as it was a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to continue to monitor that as we go forward. And we're also, as you point out, we're monitoring our customer complaints, we're monitoring social media, we're also looking to see where and how customers are reacting to what we're doing. But our efforts to date do seem to be showing improvement over the problem that we're dealing with.
Great. Any other board members like to respond to President Carter's report?
I thank you, Mr. Brown. I'd just like to say ditto and Keep up the good work. We're hearing some things out in the street that says, yes, you are doing a great job. Keep up the work.
And, you know, I would also point out that you should always feel free to let us know. We recognize that you're out there, you're hearing from our customers directly.
Right.
What's going on with CTA and how are you dealing with it? You should always feel free to reach out to us. If you're getting any comments, one, to make us aware of that, and two, if you need information as to what we're doing and how we're responding to it, we can get it to you outside of just what I report at this board meeting. We always want to be responsive to your ability to be able to communicate what is going on at CTA at any particular point in time.
Thank you.
This is Director Ortiz. Thank you for all your work.
No comments?
Thank you.
I just said thank you.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you, President Carter. Our next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 13th, 2023. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made by Director Ortiz, seconded by Director Ja. For the vote, Director Jakes,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Silva,
Yes.
Chairman Barkley.
Yes.
Chairman, the motion passes.
Our next order of business is executive session. It is my understanding, Kent, that there is an executive session today.
Yes, Chairman Barkley, we will have an executive session pursuant to Section 2, Paragraph C, Subparagraph 1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
I will now entertain a motion to recess into executive session for reasons stated by council.
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Director Jakes,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Silva,
Yes.
Chairman Barkley.
Yes.
The motion passes.
2, 1.
I will now entertain a motion to return to open session.
Move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Director Jakes,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Silva,
Yes.
and Director Chairman Barclay.
Yes.
The motion to return to open session passes.
Our next order of business is board matters. We will go out of the order stated on the agenda and first consider board agenda item 6B, an ordinance appointing Georgette L. Greenlee, Secretary of the Chicago Transit Board. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Director Ortiz and seconded by Director Ja. Director Jakes,
Absolutely.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Ortiz,
Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Ja,
Yes.
Director Silva,
Yes.
and Chairman Barclay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations, Ms. Greenlee. On behalf of the board, welcome, and we look forward to working with you. As we welcome Ms. Greenlee to the team, we're also taking time to recognize a longtime member of our team, Board Director and Finance Committee Chair, Alejandro Silva, who's ending his term on the board after serving 19 impressive years. Director Silva has served under 3 mayoral administrations, and his tenure on the board spans over the course of 3 CTA board chairs and 5 CTA presidents. He's led the Finance Committee for 18 of those 19 years. And his financial and business acumen, as well as his experience serving on various boards, has been a great benefit to the board, the CTA, and the city of Chicago. Director Silva, thank you for your exemplary service to the CTA and the city of Chicago. It has been a pleasure working with you. And on behalf of the board, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We'd like to honor you with a resolution in recognition of your service to CTA. Kent, please read the resolution, and following that, I will open up the floor to President Carter and then to board members to give remarks.
This is a resolution of appreciation to Mr. Alejandro Silva. Whereas Director Alejandro Silva has served on the Chicago Transit Board for 19 years after being appointed by Mayor Richard M. Daley in 2004, and whereas Mr. Silva was appointed chairman of the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee in 2005 and has retained the chairmanship to date, making him one of the longest tenured board committee chairs in the history of the authority. And whereas Director Silva has served with dedication and commitment to the board, using his extensive experience in business, finance, and board governance to guide the board, Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee in the consideration and approval of financial transactions, contracts, and policies that support public transit in Chicago and throughout the region. And whereas over the course of his tenure with the Transit Board, approved the authority's largest capital construction projects in its history, such as the Red Line South track improvement, the 95th Street terminal construction, and the red and purple modernization. And whereas as Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee Chair, Director Silva oversaw the committee's approval of authority expenditures and the management of over $2 billion of federal relief funding to ensure the authority's financial and operational viability through the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Transit Board wishes to acknowledge Director Silva's many contributions and accomplishments in promoting public transit and bettering the city and region, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Chicago Transit Board extend to Director Silva their sincere thanks for the dedication and foresight he has put at the service of the board and the authority, and they wish him the best in all his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread of record upon the minutes of this meeting and that a suitable copy be presented to Director Silva as an expression of both our respect for and our gratitude to him.
Thank you.
Before I entertain the motion, I'd like to extend it to President Carter and other board members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have served in a number of roles at CTA for a combined tenure of nearly a quarter of a century. And I can tell you without hesitation that during my time at this agency, Director Alejandro Silva has been among the very best board members I have seen accept that responsibility. I was giving some thought to how many chairmen I've worked for over the course of my career, and it's more than 5, but I think that Director Silva is a very unique individual who always asked thoughtful questions and provided counsel on matters that are especially important to him, and has remained, as long as I've known him, eminently concerned about our customers and what we're doing to improve their travel experience. I first met Director Silva during my tenure here at CTA when I was Executive Vice President and Chief Executive Officer. I would also point out that I had served as president under Director Silva twice. Once currently, but also for a brief 2 to 3 month period when I was interim president during the time before Rich Rodriguez came on board and after Ron Huberman had left. So I have the unique opportunity to have served as president under him more than one time, which is probably also a first in our agency as I stop to think about it. One of the most reassuring constants during those portions of my career has been his unfailingly steady commitment to helping guide this agency out of some of our darkest times, including financial doomsday scenarios of years past, supporting us through the COVID-19 pandemic and other tumultuous times, all the while etching his name in CTA's history through his votes to approve billions of dollars in support of some of the biggest projects in CTA's history, all of which will serve Chicagoans for generations to come. In terms of his chairmanship of our Finance and Budget Committee, I cannot imagine a better steward of this agency's financial interest. His guidance and willingness to utilize his extensive business and financial acumen and experience to benefit CTA has been invaluable. In closing, I would like to note that as CTA president, I take my responsibility to this board very seriously. It is not lost on me that in order to empower our board of directors to make the best, most informed decisions possible, I must communicate effectively with this body, be responsive to your inquiries, and ensure that you have the information you need to execute your duties as board members. I would be remiss, however, not to note the very best directors that I have seen do this job, which does not pay much and can require difficult decisions with very real consequences, have been those that are thoughtful, inquisitive, and truly concerned with the people who ride on our buses and trains. In other words, they are you, Director Silva. I would like to personally thank you for your support, your guidance, your ever-present concern for this great agency, and on behalf of the entire CTA family, we all wish you Godspeed and continued success in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members?
I'd just like to say thank you, Director Silva, for your commitment and hard work. Having a chance to meet you on this board and see the questions, the concern, and your commitment. You know, before COVID, how meetings after meeting you hardly ever miss. And so we're just pleased of your leadership and our prayers for your continuous success, prosperous, happy year, happy life, whichever the Lord take you from here.
Thank you.
This is Director Ortiz. Thank you again for all of your service.
Thank you.
You will definitely be missed on this board.
Yes.
I think all of us have had the opportunity to learn from you and to grow in terms of knowledge and expertise in all that you have led. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom as a person as well as a professional. And yes, we wish you all the best in your next endeavors. We know they will be great and fun and hopefully very rewarding for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was speaking before Ms. Ortiz?
Yes.
That was Director Miller.
Miller. Okay, thank you.
Director Silva, I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. So I don't want to repeat what they said, but I just have to tell you that what I'm going to miss most about you is that you have the coolest voice. I really do. I love hearing you talk because it's just so, just monotone, real cool, real laid back. And I hope that you enjoy, hopefully, the next 60 years of whatever you're going to do. Please don't be a stranger to us. And thank you for all you have taught us in general and what you've taught me specifically. So enjoy. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
This is Director Lee. I know we haven't really worked together for too long, but really admire all, your service and your leadership for such a long time. And, the CTA is really a better place because of you. And thank you for your leadership and, wishing you all the best in the next adventures. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Director Ja, and same. I don't want to repeat myself, but thank you so much. I think I've learned, especially in the briefing sessions with you, kind of just showed me, areas to dive into. Really, really appreciate you leading us. So,
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So Director Silva, would you like to say a few words?
It's been an honor to serve on the CTA board for the past 19 years, since Mayor Daley asked me to join. Back then, CTA offices were in the Merchandise Mart. Since 2004, I have worked with 3 mayors and 4 CTA presidents, and I missed the 5th annual. While witnessing tremendous growth from the CTA, from the Red Line construction to Ventra, and now electric buses, the CTA has made remarkable strides during my board tenure. As a sports fan, I'm grateful to the CTA safely transporting fans from all over the city to the games. Since 2004, 6 championships have been celebrated. Both baseball teams, Blackhawks and Chicago Sky, the CTA brought fans to this city-wide celebrations. Thank you to all board members I have worked with over the years. I also greatly appreciate the CTA staff sending me over 228 board packets and all the briefings from Greg. The staff did a remarkable job pivoting to Zoom during COVID and helping the board stay connected. It's been such a pleasure to serve in this board, and I will always appreciate the experience and wish the CTA only the best for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Silva. I'd now like to entertain a motion to approve Board Matters Item 6A, a resolution of appreciation to Director Alejandro Silva.
So moved.
Second.
The motion to approve the resolution of appreciation for Director Silva has been made by Director Ortiz and seconded by Director Ja. Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Ja?
Yes.
Director Silva?
Yes.
And Chairman Barkley? Might as well vote. Yeah. Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next order of business is a report from the Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery. Director Miller.
Thank you, Chairman Barclay. Johnny Miller speaking. The Committee on Strategic Planning and Service Delivery was called to order earlier this morning. The committee approved the December 14, 2022 committee minutes. The committee reviewed one ordinance, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with the United Parcel Service and Company for the operation of bus route 169, 69 UPS Express. The committee placed the ordinance on the omnibus and approved and recommended the omnibus for board approval. That concludes my report, Chairman Barclay.
Thank you, Director Miller. I will now entertain a motion to approve the omnibus as stated by Director Miller.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been approved, moved and seconded. Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Shaw?
Yes.
Director Silva?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
The motion passes with 7 yea votes.
Our next order of business is a report from the Committee on Finance, Audit, and Budget. Director Silva.
Committee met earlier this morning and approved the January 13 committee minutes and reviewed the finance report. The committee reviewed 5 ordinances. An ordinance authorizing a co-promotional advertising trade agreement with Bank of America for the 2023 Shamrock Shuffle, 2023 Chicago 13.1 and 2023 Chicago Marathon. An ordinance amending Ordinance 022-141 approving the fiscal years 2023-2027 Capital Improvement Program. An ordinance consenting to the assignments of leases at Roosevelt, Lake, and Fullerton rail stations. An ordinance authorizing execution of right entry agreements and payments of $18 million for utility engineering and relocating costs for the Red Line Extension Project. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with Disabled Black History Museum and Education Center for standard admission for authority employees. The committee also reviewed 11 contracts. The committee placed 5 ordinances and all 11 contracts on the omnibus and approved and recommended the omnibus for board approval. That concludes my report, Chairman Barclay.
Thank you, Director Silva. I will now entertain a motion to approve the omnibus as stated by Director Silva.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Shaw?
Yes.
Director Silva?
Yes.
Chairman Barclay?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Our next order of business is a construction report. Bill Mooney and Brittany Johnson.
Good morning. I'm Bill Mooney, your Chief Infrastructure Officer, and I'm joined by Brittany Johnson, the Acting Director. And we can move right into the construction report. And so we'll start where we have the last few months at our CDOT Lake Line Damon Station upgrade. Most of the site has been focusing on prepping to shift these existing structural columns onto new structural columns. They'll ultimately be able to support the new platforms and bridges. So that you've seen a lot of work in recent months around sheet piling and other things for preparation of that work, as well as they've begun kind of underground work associated with the piers and caps that are required for the station foundation. So we've moved to some of those photos. So here they are prepping shoring towers. Ultimately, they build up these shoring towers. Flip to the next photo. And they'll pick up the load of the existing structure. This will allow them to cut the columns completely off and put in new columns on new foundations that are already existing and be able to support not only the existing right of way, but also the future platforms. Next slide. And here is some more examples of the sheet piling and H piles are putting in around the existing columns to be able to facilitate that shoring and ultimately the new excavation for those columns. Next slide. Our next project is our non-revenue rail vehicle facility project. It's had a lot of progress in the last month, mostly around the internal skeletal steel for the building and beginning the roofing activities. So we can see some progress there. Here they are beginning to start setting that internal structural steel. So last month I showed you them beginning to put up the prefab walls. Here they actually put in a skeletal frame of steel in between all those walls that ultimately gets tied in by the roof membranes and really was really what buttons the whole facility together. Next slide. Here's that completed steel work kind of on the other side of the building. So they've been able to work all the way to that southern frontage and next slide. And here's that southern frontage view fully complete at this point. And so from here, they actually install the remaining pieces of wall. to close off the rest of the site and all the roof framing at that point. And once that's all done, they can start pouring the slab for the internal portion of the building. Next slide. This is our Canal Ferry Damon Substation Improvement Project. Most of the activity has really been focused again on kind of around Haymarket Canal and Damon substations. Haymarket, they've been finishing up the courtyard, that new courtyard wall that we saw the expansion of in previous months. Canal, they've been prepping for the eventual installation of the new breaker house by adding in equipment around that. And at Damon, they've been doing sub foundation work, getting ready to start building walls. So we can see some of the progress here. Here at Damon, they're prepping for the pouring of the grade beams. These grade beams ultimately become the foundation that the walls are built on, and the roof ultimately is carried by. Next slide. Here at Canal, they're running all the conduit runs that go out to the various right-of-way connections to the third rail, and we'll come back to that breaker house to be able to share that power. Next slide. And here at Haymarket, so last month I showed you them doing all the demo and excavation and preparatory. They put the grade beams in for that courtyard walls, and then they started building the walls. So here's the walls going up at Haymarket. Next slide. And here's the finished project, that expanded kind of courtyard that you've seen over the last couple of months. Next slide. And at Barry, so we bought one property in support of the substation that some of the board members may remember. So they actually were able to get the demo permit for that in advance of the other underground work we're going to do there and demo that. This allows them access during construction. It's a very, very tight site that goes very far down into the subway to be able to build a multi-story building there. And it's really important to be able to have this access for staging and other things and not disrupt the neighborhood more. Next slide. And on to RPM. Project continues tight to schedule and on budget. And we've had a lot of activities over the last couple of months. Let's see. We continue to work on corridor signal improvements as a whole. We actually set the last of the segmental box erections for stage A, which was a huge milestone in the project in the Lawrence Bryn Mawr modernization area. And we continue the North Main Line stage 2 track installation and foundational work there. So you can see some photos of this. Here's the one of the last North Main Line column caps. I showed you in the last caissons a couple months ago. They then built up columns and then ultimately column caps. So this will ultimately be carrying the last of the beams erections. I've been showing you some of the progress in the beam erections for that stage 2 work. Okay, next slide. And one of the big quarter signal improvements gains in the last month is we set the Clark Relay House. This will facilitate the new Clark Junction work there, as well as all the signal improvements from Clark working north towards Addison. So here's another photo of it. This was actually an exceptionally large house that had to be set in 2 pieces. So they actually lowered the pieces, slid them onto the existing platform, and then actually slid them into place, connecting the 2 houses. Next slide. And we continue the temp station work. So we advanced temp stations throughout the progress here. This is at Bryn Mawr. So they're building the foundation for that temp station work there for the next phase. Next slide. This is the Winona Signal House. I've shown you that we built underneath the structure. It's a relay room that we're building to accommodate for the new middle track there, as well as the signals in the corridor there. And we have been doing installations for this. This is actually the HVAC work that you're seeing installed there. And the signal equipment will be arriving in the upcoming couple months. You'll start to see some of the photos as they prep that for its cutover. Next slide. And here's the middle track itself. So I've shown you kind of the installation of the structural segments for the middle track, and here they are installing the special work that facilitates the movement through the middle track, ultimately as part of what will be the 2 northbound tracks. But also this is the routing that we'll have in the next stage. In stage B up here, the temp station actually goes right through the middle track. Next slide. And here's that last final segment erection. This was a huge milestone for the project. First time we've ever done segmental box erection on the CTA. It was a big win to be able to make it to this milestone. Very exciting to kind of finish this up in the last month. Next slide. And we on our outreach, we continue to coordinate with the 44th Ward, the 48th Ward. We actually released a press release regarding one of our recent award-winning awards we received, the International Architectural Master Prize Award in the transportation category. This is for the existing Bryn Mawr temp station. This is the 2nd architectural significance award that a temporary facility has won here. It really shows the effort staff put forward in thinking about all the community impacts on this project, including our riders who are encountering kind of changes of service. And this really is a beautiful temporary facility. It's been recognized now twice with a 2nd award. We continue outreach with various community organizations, providing briefings on the project, and we announced the Elevated Future Scholarship application period is open. So this has been a wonderful addition to this contract, creating opportunities and construction engineering fields in those degrees, and it's really been a huge win for the team as a whole, and CTA and the city is a great opportunity. So we're glad to have this period open again. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brittany.
Thanks, Bill. Good morning, directors. It's Brittany Johnson, Acting Director, Diversity Programs. Diversity continues to meet with the contractor monthly to discuss DBE and workforce outreach compliance. We also continue to send out opportunities from Walsh Floor to the DBE community so they are aware of the trade packages and how to submit their bids. On January 18th, we hosted an RPM workforce outreach event at Truman College within the project footprint. The event was targeted to union cardholders with an interest in learning about trade employment opportunities on CTA's Red and Purple Modernization Project. There were 57 attendees. The event featured a presentation with speakers from CTA, Walsh Floor, and the RPM Workforce Partners. Following the presentation, the attendees were invited to network with representatives from various unions, subcontractors, and workforce assist agencies involved on the RPM project. As of January 31st, 89 DBE firms have been awarded over $237 million on the prime contract. This robust DBE participation is the result of the outreach that has been conducted by CTA and the prime to ensure the entire DBE community is continuously aware of the opportunities on the project. In addition, of the 89 unique firms, 34 are new to working on CTA projects. And on the workforce side, as of January 31st, over 1,700 unique individuals have worked over 1 million labor hours and earned over $69 million on the project so far. That concludes my portion of the report, and I will now pass it back to Bill.
That concludes our update this month. Are there any questions for Brittany or I? But I did want to highlight one thing Brittany mentioned is that we exceeded the $1 million mark in labor hours on the project. And that's just another huge kind of milestone achievement here. And really says a lot about the work the team has done to promote workforce in this project. So.
I'll do a roll call for questions for Bill or Brittany. Director Jakes?
No questions.
Director Miller?
No questions.
Director Ortiz?
No questions.
Director Lee?
No questions. Just thank you for all that you're doing, Bill. I know it's a huge endeavor, so keep it up. Good work.
Director Jacques?
Questions, thank you.
Chairman Silva?
No questions.
Director Silva? And Chairman Barkley. Any questions or comments?
No questions. Our final order of business is new business, Kent. Is there any new business?
There is no new business, Chairman.
Since there's no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn the Chicago Transit Board meeting of February 8th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Director Jakes?
Yes.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Ortiz?
Yes.
Director Lee?
Yes.
Director Jacques?
Yes.
Director Silva?
Yes.
Chairman Barkley?
Yes.
The motion passes. We are adjourned.
Thank you.